Hey, I'm Taylor Vanderhelm, going over some concepts and wireframes around how we might create and edit agents. So starting on the AI catalog page, I have tried to include tabs more, all under one category. This is easier for engineering to implement, but I think it also works if we keep it logically connected as catalog items. So you can see in this one, I removed the flow builder like I had last week. The reason for this is, again, trying to keep this all conceptually the same type of items. So just on agents here, we've got our list of existing agents that are available to us. We click create, a drawer pops out. We have all the fields that I can modify. So agent name, description, models, system prompts, etc. One thing to consider is, do we need this to be a unique name like a username, or can users give this anything they want? Also, will they have the ability to import an agent config file or even export it? For example, a JSON or YAML configuration. Verify setup. Maybe we also allow the ability to make this full screen or have a more in-depth editor view that just overlays the screen rather than having to have a dedicated page that you go to. I'll talk about that later in more detail, but let's create this agent. Here you can see the list. Let's see another way you could, if you want to edit this, just click the overflow, click edit. Again, all those same details are there. You can modify them and save it. Let's say you want to create one based on an existing one. Click duplicate, appears in the list as copy. The reason I had it duplicate and create in the list here is I'm thinking it could be confusing if you are, say, on this editing view and you click cancel. Does that delete it from the list? Does it, do users understand that they've even created a duplicate, or they think that this is an existing one? They would only notice if they see the name different. So I figured let's just add that extra step. We can refine it based on user testing, but that way it'll be extra obvious and keep users from making mistakes. So the other thing would be they could also delete from here or share and export. So let's go over some alternatives. So for example, what if we have a ability to have a playground? Again, for more detailed editing, you would click this, you have an overlay. This is maybe a way to tie into Austin's POC that he's been doing of allowing users a little bit more freedom to treat this like an integrated environment that they can build and customize, and it can be repurposed across use cases, for example, pipeline editors, editing flows, etc. So again, the same thing, we would place the button at the top level here as well so users could jump right into it. Part of the reason for this is there's competitors releasing things like background agents, ambient agents. This could be a way for us to allow users to jump into a place where they can build, and it doesn't feel so much like finding the right section to navigate to and going over to find them. So yeah, another alternative would be, what if we just leverage the web ID? This idea came from Sunjung Park, a designer with the CI/CD pipeline team. Essentially, CI/CD created their own dedicated page for editing right in the browser, but it sort of ended up being like they kept adding features and functionality, and they're almost mimicking an IDE within the browser. And Sunjung suggested that she wants to move towards using the web ID, and perhaps that could work for this use case. Another example of how this has been done, there was a POC done by Angelo Rivera that is definitely worth checking out. I'll link this issue where he included the YAML language service. It's very cool, and perhaps we could incorporate something like that with web views. The ability to also use Duo is right there. The downside is it's a little bit more intimidating for non-technical users, but perhaps we can leverage a lot of existing functionality rather than trying to recreate an IDE or builder experience within the web browser. So open questions. Will users be able to import agents via file upload? Also mentioned this earlier. Do we want to encourage users to directly edit config files, or is that something we want to keep that away from the user in the browser? Do users require unique names across the entire organization for their agents? If so, do we need to validate and enforce them? And finally, this is a more longer term question, but rather than building editors that require directing users across different pages, so for example, we have a page dedicated to editor or editing flows and agents, and they now have to navigate to that page and then find their way back once it's created? Or do we want to maybe explore a full screen overlay pattern to avoid users having to, again, potentially get disoriented from having to get redirected across browser pages? So that's it for now. Thanks for watching.